Growing up in an upscale suburb of Chicago, Nicholas Kollias was the all-American high school kid.
What's your family like? What was it like growing up?
One of four boys, just a really close-knit family, very caring parents. And for me, playing sports and especially football was a huge aspect of my life. I always wanted to continue playing football in college.
You were the first one in your family to go to college, right?
So yeah, I was the first one out of my direct family to go to college.
His gridiron goal would become a reality at the University of Rochester.
You must have been so excited when you got on the football team.
Yeah.
What were the team dynamics like?
Very small school, private university, only 8,000 undergrad, and so the football team was extremely close.
But Nicholas wasn't all tackles and touchdowns.
I'm also a classical pianist.
You're quite accomplished.
Thank you, yeah.
Senior year and fall semester at the University of Rochester is in full swing. But this Friday night out would be like no other.
So, December 4th, what was that day like?
So, it was just kind of like any other day.
Nicholas and his fellow teammate and fraternity brother, Ani Okiki Iwu, are hanging out when Ani gets messaged on social media.
And Ani kind of looked over to me and he was like, hey, I have these two girls who want to hang out. So I said, sure. Why don't you have the two girls come over to my apartment and we can hang out with them there. So Ani took a quick picture of me and sent it to them.
The girls must have liked what they saw. Not long after, Nicholas and Ani meet them in the parking lot of Nicholas's apartment.
They didn't want to go in my apartment and they suggested that we go over to their place.
Were there any red flags for you this time, like talking to them? Did anything seem
Not really.
strange about them?
They were in a nice car. Nothing seemed unusual or abnormal.
The students jump in the girls' car and off they go. But soon, the changing scenery catches Nicholas's attention.
I started to notice that the neighborhood was not so good anymore. Then before I knew him, we showed up at the house.
The address, 22 Harvest Street.
It was dark out, and from the outside, it seemed like a decent house.
A decent house and pretty girls. The night ahead was looking good. But once inside, that all changed.
The next 40 hours had to be the most terrifying, horrific of your entire life. I remember physically feeling sick, reading about what happened.
Yeah, I sat down on this couch in the living room, and next thing I knew was just the lights went out and about 5 to 10 men in just masks come out just screaming. So many loud noises, and just are all armed with bats and bars and knives, guns, and the first thing that just pops in, fight or flight. I got up as fast as I could and tried running to the side door. I only made it about halfway across the room before I felt something like being pressed up to the side of my upper leg, and then the next thing I remember is just being on the ground.
Nicholas had been shot in the leg.
My leg was like gel. It was just flopping around, and somehow I managed to get back to my feet and get to the door.
He may have made it there, but he wasn't home free.
And I remember looking out the door and seeing these two other girls that were standing on the outside, and they were holding the door closed from the outside, just making sure we couldn't escape.
So the two girls that said, come hang out with us, they were the ones holding the door shut, or was two different ones?
Two different girls.
What had seemed like an innocent college date night was suddenly looking like a vicious setup. But why? Now injured and delirious.
Was nothing I could do, and then I just remember getting hit over the head with a bat, and I'm laying on the ground. These men are just screaming, just don't fight us, just take it and don't try and escape.
Coming up.
They tied up her hands and legs, and they dragged Ani and I into this bathroom.
The worst is yet to come. torture recorded on cell phone video.
That was only 30 seconds, but you can only imagine what they went through.
That's when these individuals were holding me at gunpoint, and they were making me call all these different financial institutions to get my withdrawal limits increased and doing whatever they could to get money out of my accounts.